Alright guys, I wanted to talk a little about what happened in some of our team fights here.
30 seconds until
This is our game from the previous night. We actually got off to a fairly good start. Well, I'm speeding through some of this early part here. Justin and Kha'Zix have a little battle here in front of blue buff. Actually goes on for a long time there. Matt ends up dying. Roth gets a kill on there. Pick up another couple kills here. Suddenly we're up 4-2. Probably could have loaded this in farther instead of trying to wait a while. Good dive there. Double kill in bot lane. We're up 7-2, almost 4k gold. From here, this is where things start to go slightly wrong. Well, I guess not yet. There's another kill. End up dying in bot lane, still getting the jinx. Attempt dive with the Bard ult. Don't get the kill, but don't really take too much damage there. So we're slightly low. Swain ends up bursting a lot of that damage. Yeah, there's not a lot we can do to save that. Other than Roth not being quite that close. Well, there, Matt actually ends up getting a double kill. That ends up turning out fairly alright. Though Trevor gets soloed in bot lane while that's happening. They have closed our 4k gold gap to just under 2k. But it still hasn't been absolutely terrible trades. We end up chasing Kha'Zix here, getting the kill. Cool. Here's where I first say things would start to go pretty wrong. We have the jinx low. There's a few of us. Roth ends up getting bursted down quite a bit, and we coordinate this kind of poorly here where I'm taking the turret damage before everyone can get in and our minions aren't quite there yet. And so at this point, Justin actually has his ult and flash up and could go in on the jinx over this wall. Or at least come around through this area up here. instead he ends up coming through behind them this way, gets caught, and then ults from a distance when no one can really follow up, and then flashes. And it really leaves just me kind of trying to help him out here, and Kha'Zix is able to come in on Trevor because we've put so much into following them as opposed to stopping them when they were back here. Just to step back a little bit here. So yeah, as long as you're going to be burning the flash and your ult, you might as well do it from this position right here. When the Jinx is stuck here, where we can collapse on her, where we've already got this tower aggro, and then she'd be a pretty easy kill at that point, especially when you're level 8 and can already tank some of these turret shots. And instead, because there's hesitation on there, bad planning, we end up with an ult, a flash getting burned. Trevor ends up dying. I managed to get away, and Justin ends up dying as well. So it should have been 1 to 2 kills in the tower, ends up being 3 deaths or 2 deaths for nothing. That ends up dying up top. And that actually ends up with them able to try and push the dragon. We do manage to actually prevent that from going down here. Ever slightly aggressive from Raw, forces him to burn his flash. End up catching the Alistar out here for a kill. And does that actually get the Jinx? Yeah, it does. So got a couple kills there and the dragon. Nice follow up, but a really, really bad start to that. We actually end up catching the Swain too. So right here, we actually end up all getting away. There's 4 of us out with just Drop Dead, and Justin actually goes back in here. And that's going to end up, but we don't really have the health to be doing this. And that ends up costing both Trevor his life. Matt almost ends up dying there. So I guess we do end up going 1 for 1, but it's still a trade that we didn't necessarily need to happen. We could have had our 80 carry still alive here. Matt does end up picking up Kha'Zix. We're still all super low, but good pick off. That actually ends up forcing Exhaust away from there. End up getting away. Just generally staying way overstaying far longer than we needed to. So forcing us back ends up costing us the turret. We end up catching Alistar off of that all. And Jinx got caught in earlier before that as well in Roth's ult. So apart from the overextending and some of the stuff that happened down here, it hasn't been too bad. Getting fairly aggressive with the counter jungling. Able to come in here, pick off the kill, take the tower. This is actually a really well played dive. And we're actually still up about 2k at this point. Not quite the capitalizing on our lead, but we've at least maintained it. Roth ends up getting caught here. That's pretty much just on Roth to back off of that. Trevor ends up staying as well, as does Matt in the bushes. This actually doesn't turn out terrible as we're able to collapse on this pretty well. Trevor gets a nice position behind them, and we end up picking up the Karthus and the Jinx. Up about 2.5k gold. Baron, not quite something we're able to do here. Forces Justin back. Oh, that was really bad. I should go back here. So, Matt's backing, took that camp. We should just pretty much be backing off at this point. There's only 3 of us. Matt's there, Justin's to the backing off. Trevor ends up stepping forward and Roth ends up going straight in. And that pretty much just results in Roth's death. And this was something that we could have just simply walked away from. Trevor ends up dying too, and that's 2 for 1 there. I actually get away alive. Actually, no, I don't. Matt takes the kill there. Yeah, so that's a lot of chase on the Karthus, and Justin actually ends up dying here as well. So we actually ended up, all 5 of us dying for just 2 of them. Pretty much Roth getting caught there early, Trevor stepping back into that. We do end up picking off a kill, I die, and then going in on the Karthus is just extra damage that we don't need done, and results in both Justin and Matt dying. So from here, we're still actually up ahead. Not quite the lead we had, but not terrible. And end up positioning for another fight around Dragon. We actually end up taking it. At this point we can simply back off. However, we see them in this push here. So Justin ults in, catches 4 of them with a really nice ult. Mine is slightly off on catching the Jinx. Roth starts his damage and gets up, but all the shields end up going onto the Karthus, who's still alive. Matt's diving headlong in, and at this point we should probably be backing off. Justin and I continue to walk forward into the Karthus ult, as does Trevor, still walking forward into that. I'm not quite sure where Justin's trying to walk here. I actually end up backing out. My stun just barely doesn't go off because it hits Alistair first, and the Jinx ult is able to catch us. Let's see here. I can speed it back up to that.
Red team has slain.
Okay. Okay, so they group up in here. The arrow goes off. Nice ult from Justin. Fish comes in. Good ult from Roth. However, after Matt's snared here, this is where things start to become questionable. He comes in. And yeah, from here we pretty much needed to just walk away from the Karth Assault, going 3 for 2. And Justin and I keep walking too far forward. Justin actually just keeps walking all the way through it while I manage enough to start backing off. But it's still so much that we end up doing that here. And enough burst that Jinx ends up getting the Quadra. So it was a good start to the fight, just a really poor follow-up after that to continue to sit into that Karth Assault, since we could have simply backed off from that Jinx damage. So here we managed to actually catch Karthus, almost get Alistar as well. Could catch Justin back here holding off Swain. And we're able to convert that into a turret. So then our next point here at 2709. 2709 is when Roth starts to split toward bottom. And there's 2 of us in mid with Matt trying to take blue. I end up cycling down here trying to lure for Roth. And upon seeing this, seeing Roth down here, they immediately head toward Baron. Which we actually do have vision of this. And so we need to know to head there immediately. I end up way too far down out of position. But we do have Justin and Trevor here. So we get vision of it. We know it's already down below half health. Justin needs to be going in here. And he just ends up sitting in this bush. Because if I go to red team point of view, yeah, we have complete vision of this right now. Trevor's all the way down here, and Justin's just back up in this bush. So as we get closer, we have Trevor going in. Justin doesn't even start to go over the wall until after it's dead. Especially with everything up, coming in, being able to flash before that gets that low. He ends up getting knocked out of there, and then at this point, should already know that Baron's gone. There's really only him there, and he ends up flashing over this wall instead of coming around to protect Trevor. Not quite sure what the flash was for at this point, as this ends up putting him just in a surround by them. I try and catch a couple of them with my ult, thinking maybe we can kind of turn this. We probably should have just backed away after we saw they got Baron, but Justin actually does manage to ult 3 of them there. But at this point, with Roth all the way back here, Matt all the way back here, we don't really have our damage, so he can't really be standing up here with all these damage dealers because the Alistar and the Swain are simply going to collapse on us. As you see the Swain just flash up toward Trevor. And I end up trying to heal him and peeling the Swain off of him, but it's not quite enough, and Justin being all the way up there just melts, not really doing a lot. Roth ended up coming all the way around thinking they were going to retreat after that, when we pretty much just needed to all group up around here. And that ends up resulting in his death. At that point, Matt comes in trying to salvage things. Fairly risky play. It's enough though that we managed to take Swain down. And Matt has Zonias, but Roth still hasn't gotten here. Manages the ward hop. And by the time Roth has showed up, 3 of our members have already died. My cooldowns are all the way down. And he ends up, he actually ends up able to dish out enough damage to kill the Karthus and finish that off for a double kill, but that still ends up being just a 4 for 2. Actually, yeah, that's the only 4 for 3. Sorry, 4 for 3. Because we ended up killing Swain earlier. And yeah, that's really poor timing in reacting to that. Really should have been Justin over that wall for Baron to begin with, and then just not flashing back into that. We could have picked off that front line instead of so many people focusing on that back. I end up dying here. Probably could have avoided the Jinx ult, but end up holding the tower. So we're actually still up after this. We've cleared Baron off of most of them at least. So our next fight, as they're pushing up here, I do get a 3-man ult down. That stun comes in. My Q comes in also as a stun, and but we have mostly their tanks coming in. Trevor's not quite here in position. But Roth coming in like this has a perfect shot at the super fed Jinx with Baron, and instead goes directly into this Karthus ult. As you'll see here, and ends up not really doing much damage, just gets knocked away from the Alistar. Matt ends up chasing the Jinx, who would have been dead if Roth had jumped initially. And Trevor ends up stepping up way too close as well. Justin, at full health, does manage just to catch up here. And you'll see I start to get kind of chased off by the Alistar. But yeah, I wanted to go back just a bit. Okay. Because during this stage, Justin was actually closer up here with us. So that comes down right there. Justin should at this point be coming up to go in. And he comes up, ends up getting stunned by the Jinx ult. And he comes up all the way up to here, and then starts just backing off. You're already halfway through it, your team's already up here. There's not really a reason to back away from this when you can help out with the Swain or with anything else. At this point in the game, you're tanky enough to do that. But with that, it ends up being the focus onto Roth, and you end up out of area to actually do anything, and your dash ends up catching no one besides forcing that Karthus flash. So we do kill the Jinx, but at this point everyone's so far up there. Justin has burned his CC, hitting the flash area where Karthus was, and that ult comes down and it's enough to finish that off. And then we just have Justin alone, 1v4. And he's actually, yeah, not able to make it out of that. And yeah, that's pretty much just downhill from here. They're able to take Dragon. E3, E3, 4. Here we have another engage. Justin's nowhere near us. Yeah, what actually happened during that? So Matt ends up coming back up. Yeah, we see this. We're backing off here. So now we're all 5 grouped up in mid. We see the Alistar coming over in our jungle. Justin's over here taking blue buff. Which 32 minutes isn't going to be huge in this game, especially when we know they're all top. And that leaves us coming in on this Alistair and Justin way out of position. Actually going in and burning that headbutt, get the stun here. Jinx is pretty well positioned at the back. So we do have Matt coming up in, and Roth back here, calls it to the side. Trevor ends up having to flash back out as Matt goes in on the Jinx. She does end up forcing her away, but we end up with Matt and Roth back here on their own while I try and peel for Trevor, and Justin just back here. And it leaves a split as they're able to focus all of their damage on killing Liz and then Roth. And then we're just left with 3 of us without any of the real damage dealers. And that ends up being pretty much game at that point. Yeah. And they're able to end. A lot of really poor position on team fights, a lot of not being aware. Either we weren't able to get to Jinx, but we also didn't back off from her in a way that allowed us to pick people off at the front, which meant she and Karthus pretty much just did damage through that whole thing. Anyway, GG.